We begin this hour with a Fox News alert. President Biden is wrapping up his time in Japan, giving a long press conference that ended about 20 minutes ago.
We have live team coverage this morning in Hiroshima with Edward Lawrence, covering what Biden can expect when he comes home.
They watched it, so you didn't have to. Let's start with Peter Doocy, who was in the press conference. Peter.
And the two things that the G7 got together to talk the most about would be weapons for Ukraine as they fight off the Russian offensive, and also what to do about a rising China in this part of the world. A big focus was economic, but President Biden also got a question about Chinese military aggression, particularly their decision to basically ice out the Pentagon and turn off this military hotline that the defense secretary uses to talk to his counterpart. Listen to how President Biden, after days of China talk here in Japan, answered that one.
We should have an open hotline. At the Bali conference, that's what the President Xi and I agreed we were going to do and meet on. And then this silly balloon that was carrying 2 freight cars worth of spine equipment was flying over the United States, and it got shot down, and everything changed in terms of talking to one another. I think you're going to see that begin to thaw very shortly.
President Biden is in a motorcade right now on his way to Air Force One. When he gets there, he is telling us he will be placing a phone call to Speaker McCarthy to talk about the coming debt limit negotiations or the stalemate. And here's how we think that call is going to go based on what President Biden said. He described Republican proposals on this issue as extreme and unacceptable. He said there is no bipartisan deal until the Republicans move off of their positions. And President Biden said, "I've done my part." So that makes it sound like President Biden's not going to move either. I asked him, what's up with that?
Would you be blameless in a default situation?
On the merits, based on what I've offered, I would be blameless. On the politics of it, no one will be blameless. And by the way, that's one of the things that some are contemplating.
And that is a very straightforward answer from the president. He says that he thinks that essentially Republican threats of running the country up close to a default or past a default are political, as his top officials describe the possibility of a default as something where the stakes could not be higher. They use words like catastrophic. Back to you.
Peter, quick question for you. It's clear that Zelensky went there in order to secure more money for his war in Ukraine, but also to pressure India and Brazil, who have so far been neutral on this. Do you know if he's made any advances in moving them?
We expect to hear that more within the next couple hours, but it is meaningful in that way. To your point about the neutrality that some of these G7 countries have had over the last year plus of the Ukraine war, because there are photos of Zelensky at the table with all of them, and we don't think that they were having a debate about anything. They were basically hearing him out. But tell us what you need, and we'll tell you about this F-16 flight training program and when you might be able to expect delivery of F-16 jets from the people sitting at that table. Rachel.
Thank you.
All right, Peter Doocy, thank you so much.
Thanks, Peter.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.